Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm gonna walk you through a couple of drawings that I did. Just show you from beginning to end the process of me making them. Like I said in my last video, I am trying really hard to get back on that daily drawing routine. I've been pretty good about it so far, so we'll see if I can keep it going. I didn't mention in my last video that my friend Emily gifted me some professional studio lights, so I just wanted to thank her formally in my videos because it's been really helpful in creating more even lighting in my studio space, and I've also been able to professionally photograph some of my pieces that I've made that I haven't had the opportunity to show in galleries yet. So yeah, it's been a very helpful addition to my filming materials. So thanks, Emily, for doing that. Anyway, let's get into it. I'll show you guys what I've been working on. Thanks for watching. Hey, it's me recording audio into my phone. Yeah, I'm still very rusty drawing. And I feel like my head is in a totally different place from the last time where I was drawing regularly. So the types of drawings I'm making now are really different, and I can't seem to find my footing. But I am trying to experiment a little bit with being less neat. I can be a little bit nitpicky and a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to coloring in shapes, outlining them. I feel like when I was making illustrations in high school, drawings of cute girls or whatever, I had a very prescribed way of doing them, and I did that every time. I would start by drawing in pencil, and then I would paint that in watercolor, from light to dark, and then I would outline it in micron pen, and then I would add highlights. And it's I'm kind of doing the same thing now. I'm just not drawing the same things. So I try and change up the order that I'm drawing, the order that I'm applying different materials. So I went through a phase where I was starting drawings with pencil underdrawings. Right now I'm kind of doing more marker underdrawings and then building on top of that. I've gotten really interested in patterning and decoration as an idea, because I think of these shapes as objects, right? Abstract objects that don't exist in real life. So I kind of want to adorn them like furniture, make patterns specific to those shapes to add more history and context to the shape. But I think I need to study more fabric patterns to kind of, load up my brain. I need to start collecting more resources, visual resources. I think there are ways that other artists work that, they work that way for many years, and it is just now occurring to me, all of these different ways of storing research. So I think it's pretty common for artists to print out internet research, I've been using Tumblr for years and years and years, probably a decade now, which is really depressing to say, but and I need to just go through my archive and start to use all of the different images I've shared over the years as material, and also just do more research on Pinterest and similar sort of image aggregation websites, for fabric patterns and color schemes. I read this quote from Laura Owens it said it was something to the effect of like, if Martha Stewart makes a palette for paint in a Lowe's or whatever, then use that palette. Like, somebody else made a palette for you, just take advantage of it. So I feel like I need to do that more often. I am trying to stick to 3 or 4 colors, or if I do more colors than that, do sort of, a dark blue and a lighter shade of that blue, and then maybe a mid-tone shade of that blue, so that it's all within the same color family. And that way I don't have the problem that I often have, which is like competing colors. But another technique that I've read about that painters and stuff use is like taking photos of their work while they're making it, and then just like taking a photo with their phone and putting it in grayscale to see how the values are, because even if you're like really skilled at using color, you can still kind of like lose track of, if something is higher value or lower value than another color. So that's another thing that I've been trying to do more often. I'm just trying to be more intuitive with my process, but also working toward doing more research, and maybe adding more like depth and by depth I mean like more sources to my work, because right now it's like all coming from my head, and if some stranger is looking at my work, who cares about my head, like I need to be adding extra context to make it more legible to other people who like aren't inside of my head, because nobody's inside of my head. So yeah, this drawing is basically done. I'm actually working on a soft sculpture of that maroon shape with the black vines on it in the foreground. I'm recreating that in soft sculpture form. So I'll show you guys that when it's done. It's interesting so far, but it's not quite there yet. I think I want to replicate a lot of different shapes that I've drawn, just because I have a really bad memory, so I feel like I can't build a shape bank like other people build them in their mind, a kind of dictionary of shapes that they use. I can't remember all the shapes I like to use, so I feel like every time I'm drawing, I'm inventing new shapes. So I'm making these soft sculptures to try and remember the shapes so I can repeat them. This drawing, I'm starting with the pencil underdrawing. This is a 6B pencil, soft lead. I prefer soft lead, and I like when I add things on top of it, since there's so much graphite on the paper, it kind of smears and blends. I think maybe, technically that's a really bad thing to do, but I don't care about, being technically good. That's really boring to me. I feel bad because I, think back on when I was teaching college, I was teaching undergraduate classes while I was a graduate student. I think I said one time, don't dry brush, it always looks bad. And I can't believe I made that much of a blanket statement to a whole class of people. And maybe everybody in that class has internalized that statement, and I just said it offhand. Such an irresponsible thing to do, and I don't think it's good to make blanket statements like dry brushing looks bad, or don't smear graphite with marker, it looks bad. Like, you know what I mean? Because there's always a way for somebody to figure out to make it look good. So yeah, don't close any doors with art making, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This pink shape I'm coloring in is really funny to me. It reminds me of like a cartoon ham. You know how they like draw those crisscrosses on hams? I end up adding that crisscross shape with the white gel pen here. It's a Uniball Signo. I know that like a lot of people who draw bodies use these white gel pens to add like highlights to the face and to the body, but I don't draw bodies, so this is a kind of fun way to maybe bring back lines that were underneath a shape or to add texture. So I use it a couple times in this drawing, and I'm like not really pleased with the quality of this particular gel pen because it's like streaky. Like, I don't know if I can explain this in a good way. Essentially, like the nib is metal and it's a ballpoint, so it like leaves a line in the center of the stroke, and then on the outside of the stroke is where the two lines of white are. That's not a very good way to describe it, but I don't like the quality of the line, but I made it work. Now I'm going in with like a Tombow pen. These are fun because they're water-based, so I mean I don't do it in this drawing, but I have in other drawings and paintings sort of taken advantage of that and used it with watercolor or like acrylic paint, and the marker activates and you know, the pigment spreads everywhere. It's really fun. I kept messing with this yellow shape and I couldn't get it quite right, but like now looking back on the footage, I think it was right to begin with, but I was just like, you know, fussing with it too much and maybe overthought it a little bit. I like the little eyeballs at the center of this, like little cartoon eyeballs. I think maybe I want to try and make a painting with these eyeballs because I think it's like a funny idea to have like these emoji style or like cartoon style eyes looking back at the viewer, so that the painting is looking at you as you're looking at it. I think it's just a really like goofy idea, especially since it's like cartoon eyes. So what does that make you? If the painting is looking at you as a cartoon, are you real, or are you also a cartoon? I haven't really fully fleshed out that idea, but yeah. So now I'm looking for an orange. I wanted to, this yellow that I added that ended up actually just being a yellow orange, I wanted to define it a little bit more and like differentiate it from the rest of the shapes that it was laying on top of. So I just started with outlining it, and then I had the idea to fill it with like swirls. So that's just a continuation of what I did in the previous drawing and what I talked about, which is like me trying to use more patterning and like decorative elements in my drawings. So I like looked back at one of my fabric bins while I was drawing this and saw this material that had like crosshatch grid with swirls inside of it, and I was like, oh, swirls, I never use swirls. So yeah, I just decided to add that inside of this shape, and then later on I add it to another shape with the white gel pen. So it was a fun little diversion. It took a lot of time, so I like sped it up 20 times. So you guys weren't watching me draw swirls for 10 minutes. Yeah, it took a long time to draw these. Was it worth it? I guess. I like doing those tasks though while I'm drawing, or like That's one of the reasons why I like embroidery and craft work so much, is that it takes so much time to do it. And when I find patterns like that in drawing, it's kind of a similar effect where you just like enter this like meditative state where no thoughts are occurring and you're just repeating this task, and you become kind of rhythmically tied to whatever you're doing, and it's like very calming. And I don't know, I like the repetition of that. So whenever I'm like going through a hard time, I usually start on some repetitive, time-consuming craft project to help me sort through things mentally. And because of that, I have a lot of like half-finished craft projects that take a lot of time to complete. But whenever I get like real depressed, I go and work on one of them. So it kind of works out. I mean, like when I'm feeling good, I draw. And when I'm feeling really bad, I work on craft stuff. But it's like kind of hard to put that into an artist statement or like talk to other arts professionals about that. 'Cause it's like, I feel like nobody really talks about mental health as it relates to like the mediums that you choose and the imagery that you use. 'Cause like, I'm a very depressed person and a very anxious person, so I feel like all of my drawings end up being these extremely, like they're polar opposites of my experience of reality, because I want to find that like outlet, like kind of the contrast to how I feel, you know. I want something that's like really happy and joyous, because I so rarely feel those feelings, and I can only hope that like something I draw or paint, if somebody walked up to it in a gallery, they would like feel happy. But that is like way overestimating the impact art can have on the viewer, I think. I mean, I certainly look at paintings that I think are good, like for instance, Elizabeth Murray, her work kind of has the effect that I want my work to have, which is that it's playful and bright, and like you can't look at it and feel shitty, you know what I mean? So I could only hope that my two-dimensional work could do that. All of my craft works, on the other hand, are much more analytical, but yeah. So I pretty much have all the shapes laid out. I just wanted to add some more depth to this maroon shape in the background by adding like a darker shade of the maroon color and then a tint on the edges. And then I ended up coloring in the background with this kind of like blue purple. And I think that really made everything pop and contrasted well with the yellow and the orange. I pretty much exclusively use secondary colors at this point. I think I like this drawing better than the first one, but I'm not sure because I don't have them in front of me. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that you guys are doing okay and that you're safe and happy and eating lots of good food and having a good time generally. I appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.